From the 22 News Plus studio, this is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of In Focus. I am your host, Patrick Berry. We are currently in the midst of a government shutdown, and that means a lot of things to a lot of people. But most importantly, what does it mean to our local veterans? Across the desk from me here in the 22 News Plus studio, I've got Stephanie Shaw. She is the Director of Veteran Services for the city of Chicopee. And most importantly, we want to know if the government shutdown is affecting the veterans out there. So, Stephanie, thank you so very much for joining me. I greatly appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
So, please tell me our veterans are safe.
They are.
Okay, good.
Across the board, the recipients, the users of the VA programs, they're really not going to see a disruption. There's a lot of anxiety about those compensation payments, about people accessing healthcare, some education concerns, the benefit payments coming in there. And older veterans are worried about, the retirees, military retirement, DFAS, what's affected. We also have people currently serving. How are they impacted?
Right.
And it's all a little bit the same, but there's nuances.
One of the things I have heard is, to your point, everything will continue, but it's the administrative side. So if you have a question and need to call or email someone, then that might be the slowdown.
Yeah. So, and some of that, again, it depends on what you're talking about. So the education hotline, that's closed right now. There's no one staffing that. If you are in one of the programs, it's called VRE, Vocational and Rehabilitation Education. There's no more caseworkers at the moment. They've all paused. So the emails are still working and you can still submit your documents. You can still ask your questions, but they won't be received and monitored until the government comes back. But the customer service line for the benefits administration to ask questions about your claim, those people are still there. The crisis line is still working. And the claims processes are still functioning. So you can still send in your applications for compensation, education, pension, the burials. They're still taking applications. They're still conducting services.
Right.
They're not.
It's not business as usual, but they're still conducting business.
Absolutely. It's a skeleton crew, but they have a duty to the American people. And the funding within some of these programs within the VA isn't based on appropriation. It's statutory, so it's not as impacted.
All right, so I want to pull up a document now. It's like red and green.
Yep.
Stop and go of things that are impacted and things that aren't impacted. Let's start with the red side, the things that are impacted.
Of course. Again, going back to the career counseling and the education hotline, those front-facing customer service elements are currently suspended. The next bullet says the VA regional benefits offices will be closed. They're closed to the public. You can't call and do a VERA appointment. You can't call and check on your claim to the local Boston office. Those, again, skeleton crew, that forward-facing customer service element is there, but the benefits administration and the administration of those benefits, to play that verbiage back and forth, those are still intact. Those are still running. Public affairs, that's a big one, especially here in Western Mass. We work closely with the Leeds campus and the public affairs office for outreach events. So anything that they were scheduled to attend, we'll say in the near future, that's going to be suspended. They're not going to be reachable. They're not going to be present.
So for offices like yours and your fellow VSOs around the state, you're still accessible.
100% we are, because we don't work for the federal government. We are all hired by our municipalities. We're not even state employees. If something were to happen at the state level, it doesn't affect us.
That's great news. So, and you're still able to guide veterans through this process. So if somebody comes in and is nervous about what is currently available or not during the shutdown, you can walk them through that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the funding element within, we'll call it the back end of the VA, the supportive services, making sure healthcare runs, making sure the claims are being processed. I think that's really important. And I think I appreciate that it was thought out to do it that way, so that if something like this happened, veterans wouldn't be without income or healthcare.
Right. All right. Let's go back to that document there, sticking with the red side of things that are impacted by the shutdown.
Mm-hmm. The next couple, all circumvent around the NCA, the National Cemetery Administration.
Okay.
And like I said, you can still submit your applications and they're going to conduct a service. They are not placing the headstones and mailing out the bronze markers that are typically done after the services.
But the funeral and burial of our loved ones isn't being put on hold.
Not at all. Not
Okay.
at all. And remember, here in Western Mass, the Agawam Veterans Memorial Cemetery is a state cemetery for veterans. While it does receive federal funding, and that's where those headstones and bronze markers come in. The service will still take place. Those more tangible on-site elements of the headstone and the markers, those will take some time.
Well, I have to tell you, when my dad passed away 9 years ago, it took months anyway to get that bronze Korea, marker. So
yeah, because they manufacture them not in bulk; they're all personally made, so it does take time.
Okay, so we really don't have to worry about final stages of life and
no,
what we do with our loved one. They will still have the funeral, still have the burial, and so forth. It just might be, like you said, the little markers at the gravesite.
Yep, exactly. There'll be a delay there. They did begin accepting pre-burial applications again only recently within the last few months, and that will again be suspended. So that just means if you're nearing the end of life or if you're 40 years old and you decide that's what you want to do when you go eventually, you just can't submit that application right now. That it won't be received. So I wouldn't even send it for it to be held in a queue. I would just wait on those. If it's not urgent, don't send it.
I didn't even think about that. So veterans who are my age, younger, they put in their paperwork early about the final stages of their life and what to do with their remains.
They could for a period of time, then they couldn't for a long time, and then they've just reopened that opportunity again now, just to make sure that acknowledgement and that request is aware and that it's ready for them at that time of passing.
Oh, fascinating. So back to our document here. Mm-hmm. So as you mentioned, the last few are all about the final interment of
within the NCA.
What's that last one mean? Presidential Memorial Certificates.
That is a underutilized benefit. I think this is really unique and many people don't know. When you have a veteran who passes and you can request a certificate from the presidential office acknowledging their service and thanking them for that. What people don't know is they can request as many as they'd like for the family members in their lives, whether, it's multiple children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, key people in their life, significant others. There's no restriction on how many. There's also no restriction on requesting supplemental certificates when the presidential seat changes. So if you
want a Donald Trump signed certificate, you can do that now. Or if you wanted to wait till a Democratic president was, you can wait.
You could, or if you wanted, some people are, they have a passion for history and the presidents and the chronologic service there and their patriotism. And so you could get one for every president.
Wow.
They really don't have a limit. If you ask for 1,000, it's going to take quite a bit. So, without being greedy, but, if you've got a veteran with 25 grandkids and they all want one, you can do that.
Oh, and that's not hard to hit right now.
Absolutely.
We are up on our first commercial break. We're here with Stephanie Shaw, the Veteran Services Officer for the city of Chicopee. We'll be right back.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry. This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Welcome back, everyone, to this edition of 22 News in Focus. I am your host, Patrick Berry. We're in the 22 News Plus studios. Across the desk from me in the hot seat today is Stephanie Shaw. She is the Veteran Services Officer for the city of Chicopee. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me. Today, we're talking about the government shutdown, and obviously because of what Stephanie does for a career, she works with veterans. We want to make sure all of you veterans out there and the veteran family members are still getting what you expect from our federal government during the shutdown. In the first portion of this conversation, Stephanie was kind enough to share with us some of the things that aren't happening during the shutdown. I want to bring that slide back up again to talk about the things that are still happening that aren't impacted by the shutdown. Those are the items you see on the right in green.
Yeah.
We already covered the things on the left in red. So let's go through, it's about a half dozen bullet points there, but let's go through some of these.
I think the biggest call I get is, can I still see my doctor? Is my community care referral still good? Can I still get my medications? And yes, the full expansion of the VA Healthcare Administration is up and running, including Central Western Mass, Leeds, the Springfield Clinic, and all of their partners, including the Vet Center. So you will still get your care, you will still get your treatment, and it's not in a platform that you just have to sustain. If something new comes up, you still call. Treat it like you
Okay.
always would. There's been no deficit to the healthcare system.
So things like the Northampton VA, the Holyoke Soldiers Home, things like that are still operating.
Well, the Veterans Home in Holyoke is a state-run program, so also not affected. But yeah, the campus up at Leeds, the Springfield Seabach, yeah, all of the healthcare locations are still up and running in full capacity.
So if you have a medical issue, don't put it on hold.
Don't. No, I know. I think people are worried that their doctors won't be as available or they're working on a limited staffing or crew, and that's just not true.
Right. Good. All right. So next up on there.
This one, we get a lot of questions about this. The benefits administration. It covers a lot of different types of benefits to include compensation, education, the pension benefit, as well as housing programs. I just spoke with a VA social worker within the housing program. This administration and the Secretary Collins' focus is really strongly housing and combating suicide. And those programs are still very much intact and still very much running through this shutdown. So please, again, if you're having any questions or concerns about compensation, pension, or education, those payments will be coming in. That front-facing side of the call centers is going to be a little bit slower, if not paused completely, but you will still get your payments if you've been approved and are actively in a program.
And still, if you have any questions, go see you if you live in Chicopee, or go see
Call your VSO, yeah.
By state law, every community in the state has a VSO, correct?
In the Commonwealth, that is very true. Yeah, some have districts, so they share within multiple towns, but if you call your town hall, if you don't know who your veteran service officer is, they can certainly tell you, and they should be there.
Okay, let's go back to that document of the things that are happening and not happening. So we're on the right-hand side, the green side, that are services not impacted.
Not impacted, again, is those burials. End-of-life services are still continuing. They're still accepting the applications. They're still processing those services, providing those military honors. However, again, they're not installing the headstones and the bronze markers. So please do not delay any formal final arrangements for anyone. Make sure you get that closure and that time to grieve. Those systems are still operating.
So if I'm in the process, maybe something happened historically over the course of the last month or year that I've appealed a decision. Are appeals still taking place, or is that one of those administrative functions that has sort of slowed down?
No, appeals, the Board of Appeals is still functioning. All of their paralegals and clerks are still there and present, fully staffed. They're still processing them. The appeals process, there's 3 options in the appeals process. 2 are significantly quicker. One is still a 4 to 7 year process, depending on
4 to 7 year?
Yeah, it's not that
quick.
the legacy claims, they call them, or when you want to ask for that formal court style hearing with an attorney and a judge, those are taking a little bit. If you do a supplemental claim, higher level review, those are less than a year. So those are still tracking on all the same timelines. And again, that crisis line is still open.
Okay.
If you're in crisis, call the VA crisis line, call the 988. They are still there, ready to take the call and walk you through that.
Or call your local police department if you're in real crisis, or your
absolutely.
Healthcare provider, something.
Life-threatening emergency, call 911. If you need someone to talk to, 988.
Perfect. All right, moving right along. It looks like we've covered everything on that is still working, that it was not impacted. I don't think we've missed anything, have we?
No, those are the big ticket items within the Department of Veterans Affairs.
Okay.
But again, people often forget that retirees are a different category. They're not only defined as a veteran, they're defined as a retiree. And so I've had a lot of calls about that as well. DFAS and the Military Retirement Office is still running.
I gotta stop you. What's DFAS?
Department of Finance and Accounting Services.
Okay, good.
It's the federal agency that administers payments for the Department of Defense War now.
Okay. So the payments will continue.
Yep.
But again, if you have questions, that's sort of the administrative stuff that might slow down. Right?
Actually, from what I know, the retirement system is not affected at all with DFAS in the retirement processes.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic.
The active duty military, again, is funded differently. There's federal contracts, there's technicians, there's the National Guard and Reserve components that are funded differently. There are federal contractors that are, so it just depends on your funding. But the active duty Army is still up and running. Some of them are what's called a furlough. So they are reporting to work, it's business as usual, but that paycheck is going to be delayed. And there's definitely a conversation to be had about how it's going to affect our actively serving and federally working employees.
Well, it's interesting because I learned over the course of the last few days that employees that have to work mandatory, like say you're all of our active military, it is by law, by the Constitution, they must get paid, although it will be delayed.
Correct. So that causes a panic. And especially right now.
You still have rent to do. You still have, food to put on the table. You still have things, mortgages, electric bills, and so forth.
So for individuals that are, the phrasing is furloughed. So they're expected to work and payment will be delayed. I ask everyone to just breathe. It is early October. Right. The September payment, end of the month, October 1 payment for us, September just came in. Nothing's delayed yet. You haven't not gotten paid yet. We're not at that threshold yet. Next month's mortgage isn't due yet. November, still a little bit away. A
lot can happen between now and then.
Well, exactly. And you can't, a lot of these programs that help with arrearages, they can't be proactive. They can't provide you money right now because you don't know if you're going to get paid or not for next month's payment.
Right.
And that's a really unsettling feeling. And I've been there. I was married to someone who was furloughed and we went the month without pay.
It's hard.
The number one thing I will tell anyone that is in this situation, contact your banks and your creditors. Let them know you're a federal employee and that you've been furloughed and that it may affect your ability to keep up with your financial obligations.
Oh, okay.
In my experience, they've all been very understanding about waiving late fees once the payment comes in, or just working with each individual because they understand this is out of their control and this is a national situation. This is not isolated due to hurricanes or weather or a particular line of work. So just deep breaths. Tomorrow's a new day. And if you are anxious, the best thing you can do is just contact those financial institutions and just let them know what's going on. And they almost always will work with you. Be very understanding.
Perfect. We're up on our second commercial break. We're here with Stephanie Shaw, the Veteran Services Officer for the city of Chicopee. We'll be right back after this.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry. This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Welcome back, everyone, to this edition of In Focus. I am your host, Patrick Berry. Today, we are talking about the government shutdown and how it is affecting those veterans and families of veterans that are living here among us. Across the desk from me today, I have the City of Chicopee Director of Veteran Services, Stephanie Shaw. Stephanie, thank you again for joining me. Greatly appreciate it. When we went to commercial break, we were talking about payments and people who work for the federal government who may still have to work but may not be receiving a paycheck, and for good or bad, it's the start of a month. The government shutdown happened at the start of a month, so maybe your mortgage has already been paid. You got your September payment. But as you go through the month, and this is the longest shutdown ever, was 35 days. And that was not that long ago. It was just a few years ago. So, but the longer it goes, the more people need to get concerned. So what advice do you have and suggestions do you have as we go through the next few days or weeks until this shutdown gets averted or gets fixed and people are having cash crises?
Yeah, I mean, other than those fiscal debts that you have, you got to pay the utilities and those credit cards and the car loans and the mortgage. You have daily, weekly expenses. You need to eat, and you need, the kids are still going to need their dues for whatever project or program or extracurricular, and so there's still going to be cash expenses, we'll call them. And there's certain resources that may be in place for those affected by the furlough.
What do you mean by what resources?
So not every federal employee is a veteran, but if you are a veteran, you could go to your local VSO office. The amount of community support, especially here in Western Mass, is mind-boggling, truly. And if you're affected, and if, we've contacted the creditors, we told them what's going on, and they say, okay, we're going to work with you. We're going to keep track of the news. When it comes back on, we'll work things out. But those day-to-day expenses, those groceries, those putting fuel in the vehicle to still get to the work you have to go to, go to your local veteran service officer. There are so many programs between the municipal departments, local churches. There's several nonprofits, oh my gosh, more than several, that service Western Mass, and they have funding for emergencies like this.
Yeah.
Even towns have senior programs or veteran funds or emergency funds for residents. So if you work within your community, you rely on your neighbors, rely on your family, rely on the programs that are there to support you through these tough times.
But you need to be proactive.
Absolutely.
These organizations aren't going to seek you out because they probably don't know you. So if you have your documentation that shows you're a federal employee or a veteran, go to your VSO, find these organizations, seek the help. It's interesting because I remember, when my dad was still alive, he was a Marine, and the services and programs offered to him, he's like, I don't need it. Let the next guy have it. But they're there for you to use. It's not cumulative for the next person. So seek out the help if you need it.
Absolutely. Make a list now. Start. The internet can be fantastic as much as it can be a double-edged sword for sure. There's a couple websites. There's a couple websites that I recommend. 413 Cares is specific to Western Mass, and they have resources for a lot of these things: food insecurities, utilities assistance, veteran resources, specifically childcare, you name it. If you qualify, contact your veteran service officer. You'd be surprised. Your local library is a great connector to learn about different programs and resources in the area. Chicopee Public Library partners with Lorraine's Soup Kitchen all the time, for food insecurity. And this is a time that is outside of all of our control. And all I can do is encourage everyone affected by this, do not let your pride worsen your situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to bring up the slide one more time, which has the things that are impacted by the shutdown on one side, the left-hand side, the red side. Those are the impacted items. The green on the right are those services and programs not impacted by the shutdown. But so just to quickly review, because of the federal shutdown, the VA will not be available to provide veteran career counseling or transition assistance programs. The GI Bill hotline will be closed, so just be careful on that. The federal VA regional benefits offices will be closed, so you can't go there. VA will also cease their public affairs and outreach to veterans, put that on hiatus until the government comes back into action. And then when it comes to burying your loved ones who may have passed, the funerals and such will still go on, but some of those ancillary items, the bronze markers, may be delayed in those applications being processed and so forth. So just be wary of that. And then on the not impacted side, the green side, you as a veteran, your healthcare is not impacted. So make sure if you're feeling ill or whatnot, go and get yourself checked out. Don't put it on hold because that could become a bigger issue if you do that. VA benefits will continue to be processed and delivered, especially the compensation, pension, education, and housing benefits. And to Stephanie's point, if you are running into issues, seek help. Start with your local VSO, go to your local library, and so forth. So there is help out there. And Stephanie, any last parting comments before we end?
I just want to say that we're here. Don't wait. If you have questions, if you're curious, start putting that Rolodex of who you're going to call if this lasts too long for you and your capabilities financially. Put that Rolodex together now.
And that there was a phone number, 988. That's the Veterans Crisis Line. So if you are in a crisis, call 988 or 911 or your
if it's
mental health
life-threatening.
professional.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a stressful time, and that's why the 988 number is not part of the appropriated funding. It's statutorily funded. So it's there because we need it in times like this. And I've called for other people. I've called just to make sure somebody answers the phone, and they love those questions too. If you're concerned about yourself or someone you love, call and have a conversation. See how to get them the support they need.
Stephanie Shaw, Director of Veteran Services in the City of Chicopee, thank you so very much for your time today. Important conversation for our veterans. Thank you.
Thanks.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.